All right. Good morning, everybody. Let me know if you guys can hear me all right. All right. Anybody out there yet? All right, everybody. Who's out there watching? Anybody? There we go. Now I can see there's some viewers. Good morning, everybody. Chevy Guy, Johnny, Big Fish. How you guys doing this morning? Took a little bit to see everybody come in. All right. Well, thanks for joining this morning. Ooh, Big Fish 85 watching all the way from California. All right. So who's been out fishing this week? Weather's kind of been all over the place. We had like some cold weather, like Thursday on my way here in the morning, it was 12 degrees. And then yesterday was 60, like over 60. And today, I don't know what it is right now, but it's back to being cold again. We're supposed to get snow later. So, yeah, open water reports this week. I still was getting some ice fishing reports. I know there's some guys out ice fishing right now, too. So, yeah, things are kind of all over the place right now. Gotten some more stuff coming in. This coming week, there's a ton of stuff coming in. Yesterday, my email was just blowing up with shipping notifications from all sorts of stuff like Penn and Kitech and Moonshine on the way and Acme Castmasters and all sorts of stuff like that. So a lot of stuff on the way. And of course, next week we have Captain Caleb here talking, doing his class. And then the week after that is the Salmon Unlimited swap meet. And one thing with the Salmon Unlimited swap meet, everybody that goes in, that buys admission to get in, you will get a 10% off coupon for here, Lake Michigan Angler, for that day. So you can go to the swap meet, and if you can't find everything you need there, you can come here and get 10% off. So, all right. Pale House says Coho in the creeks in Indiana this week. That's good to hear. I was just going to say, I was going to ask everybody if anybody fishing in Indiana yet for steelhead or for cohos. I haven't had any fishing reports for guys trolling down there yet. All right. Morning, everybody. Still coming in. All right. From Southern Illinois. Bring on the spring and open water fishing. Yeah, I'm ready for it. That's for sure. All right. So a few things came in this week. Oh, thanks, Johnny. All right. More. We just reloaded with bloop tubes. There we go. And then we got the Wonder Bread there, and of course all the other colors, and they're all available online. More Lonnie tubes came in this week. He'll be bringing in. I think he's bringing in the. Let's see, that one doesn't want to show up. But I got some new colors I don't have online yet for these. They just came in yesterday, so sometime over the weekend or Monday I'll start getting these things online. So I've got a bunch of new colors there. But yeah, I've got that in, and then I got some new slip bobbers right here. These stand slip bobbers. I don't know if anybody's used them. They're not really new. They're just kind of new to me here. They seem pretty heavy duty. They've got, I don't know if this will show up on camera, if it'll focus in on it, but it's definitely a heavy duty stem on there, but I don't think it's going to focus in on that grommet in there, but it's got a really nice metal grommet that's got a really small hole. So, you don't have to worry about using a bead or anything, but overall, just a heavy duty slip bobber. That, and then I got in some of these mini planer boards. I've been using these for a long time. These offshore OR 38s. These are actually really good. I've used them in my kayak for years and years. I've also used them from shore. So, like, especially areas like Kenosha's got the long wall, especially the south wall. It's super long. I used to just put this on a spinning rod with like a flicker shad, and as long as there weren't too many people fishing on the shoreline, I would just walk back and forth with this some days and caught a lot of fish with it. They're reversible. You can have them this release and slide down the line if you want. You can have them so that they just stay on the line. I use these for that, but yeah, they pull pretty good. They don't dive, and they also they'll pull like a dodger and fly for cohos. So even like small boat guys don't want to run bigger boards. You're just kind of dipping your toes in the trolling and stuff. These work pretty good. They're available online as well. And like I said, I've been using these for well over 10 years in my kayak. They work great. So if you're looking for like a mini planer board that you can use with really light tackle, you know, with your spinning tackle even, this is the way to go right here. And that strolling technique I was talking about, definitely try it if there's not too many fishermen around. Like, you don't want to do it if there's 50 people lined up on the wall. But if it's pretty wide open, just walk back and forth, pick out a crankbait, go across. So kind of vary it from how far out you can get or how close to the wall you want to be, just by letting out more or less line. They work really well. And for the kayakers, definitely give these a shot. They work great for any. I mean, I'm not running like lead core and stuff from it, but just running your crankbaits, the thin fish and stuff like this, anything like that, small double O dodgers and flies, they all work great on these things. All right. We catch up to some of the questions here. Where is the ice? I can't walk on water. Well, we did lose a bunch of ice yesterday because when I left my house, the pond by my house was pretty much all frozen, and then it opened up by the end of the day. I know my reports from Thursday, guys, are still on the ice, so that might have ended yesterday, though. How do you fish the tubes? Typically just under a bobber, whether it's a fixed bobber or a slip bobber like this, anywhere from like 3 to 8 feet down, depending on where you're fishing. I'll tip them with a waxy, or I'll put a little bit of gel scent like Atlas Spike's shrimp oil or something like that, and just cast it out and kind of twitch it and bring it back in. It catches everything. Like, it's good for browns and steelhead. You can fish them in the rivers. You just fish a little shallower typically in our rivers around here because they're not very deep, just drifting in the current. In the harbors, just cast it out and, like I just said, just kind of twitch it in, stop and go. Fishing off the ends of the piers for the cohos, they work great for that. You know, use a heavy slip bobber so you can cast it really far. And typically you're fishing it suspended up high, and it works really well. You can vertical jig them off walls. Ice fishing, you can vertical jig them. There's almost no wrong way to do it. See the bloop tubes here are 16th ounce, and the Lonnie tubes are 32nd ounce. So if you're looking for something a little lighter, go with those. But it's really one of the most effective ways for catching trout and salmon. A lot of people kind of get fixated on using lures because they're big fish, but these little baits catch a lot. And we've been using them for as long as I can remember in the harbors. So it's pretty well proven technique. And if you haven't tried it, it takes a little patience when you're first starting to gain that confidence, getting it going. And when I first started, I didn't really have a lot of confidence in it. I'd give it up pretty quick. And then I started getting outfished pretty bad by some people using tubes like these. And so I gave it another try. And once I got it dialed in, I really caught a lot of fish on them. So definitely give these a shot. You can put a little piece of shrimp on there too if you want. Anything you want, really. And then it's just, for me, if you're out in lake fishing or in the harbor fishing, I like it to have a slow fall. In the river fishing, it's a little different because you want it to fall a little quicker because you just needed it to cut through the current and get down to the fish's level before it drifts over them. So, but yeah, it's an easy way to fish. Doesn't really, you can catch small fish, catch big fish on them. They work great, and you can go catch crappies and stuff on them too. So, all right. Robert France says, time to start buying licenses. That's right. At the end of the month, you'll need new licenses. Or actually, the end of next month. Still February. Did the salmon fishing school at Dan Keating last week at Ludington. Got the itch, can't scratch, bring on spring. Yes, it's almost here. A little bit more cold water or weather, and we'll be there. All right. Are the browns in the harbor pretty much year-round? Yeah, you know what? They kind of are. They used to be a little thicker in the harbors during summer than they are these days. When they switched up the stocking, that kind of changed it up. But they are still around in the summer. But yeah, most of the year you can catch brown trout in our area, like this side of the lake, especially in the Wisconsin harbors, Kenosha in particular, Milwaukee as well. There's pretty much always brown trout around. You know, there's going to be times that are tougher fishing than others, but especially if the water gets really warm, but they will tolerate a little bit warmer water. So if you're getting water into the 60s, you can still catch these fish from shore. It's once you get to like 70s that starts getting a little bit tougher. But yeah, definitely most of the year on this side of the lake, they're in the harbors. Yeah, there's still ice on Delavan. I know there's still some ice in the harbors, but I probably wouldn't. I'd be a little careful about that. Of course, in a lot of the harbors, you can just stay on the docks. I'll definitely say hi to Mike. All right. Sean says smallmouth bite is slowly waking up in the rivers. Haven't been on the big pond in several weeks, but hoping the rain coming gets the steelhead going. Yeah, these steelhead are ready to go. There's already been some pretty good reports in the rivers, especially the Root. But if we get a good rain, it's really going to be game on. So I'd be hitting all the rivers as soon as we get the next rain, assuming it's not so much that it blows them out. Then we'll have to wait a little bit. But yeah, it's those fish are ready. So. Are you fishing and twitching it slow? Yeah, just kind of stop and go. I'll mix it up a little bit. Sometimes they want it moving more. Sometimes they want it just kind of sitting there a little bit longer. But yeah, with those tubes, it's typically I'm not just leaving it out there while I cast another rod. It's what I'm dedicated to. It's just that one rod moving it a little bit. Any new info about North Point? No, nothing lately. I'm still the status quo over there. But thanks for chiming in. Today's giveaway is courtesy of Sean Peterson. He came in last Saturday and bought a couple Brad's Thin Fish and a Ice Strong Killer Fish to donate to the giveaway. So thank you very much, Sean. Everybody else should be thanking him as well. We'll do that at the end, of course. All right. Yeah, Chevy guy says he caught a bunch of browns in Milwaukee Harbor using that setup. About 6 to 7 feet down from the bobber. Yeah, when that bite's on, it's really on. Like there's not many baits that I've had just constant hookups with as much as like a tube jig, like where you're just going out and catching them cast after cast after cast. If you get into the right school of browns, you can really wail on them with tube jigs. These are all made with extra strong hooks so they can hold up to the bigger fish. You know, because most tube jig heads out there are really meant for crappies and stuff, but these are stout voodoo hooks on all of them. They're really good, so you can handle this big fish. All right. Morning, everybody. Still getting in. Thank you, Randy. All right. Anything on Waukegan Pier? I've heard of a few fish, but I haven't had a ton of reports for down there yet. So I know there was a couple steelhead and brown caught, but just nothing crazy yet. I haven't heard of any cohos yet. I haven't heard of the power liners trying over there yet, but I mean, it could happen any day now. So we're just about to be March. So I think we get some nicer weather. That's going to get better down there. All right. I'm going to add a smart troll this year. Any recommendations for Android tablets? I don't know anything about Android tablets. So hopefully other people in here can make a good recommendation for you. Yeah, it's just not my expertise right there. All right. We were doing good with crappie rigs and bait off Waukegan. Lonnie came by with his tubes and hit the jackpot. Nice. Was that recently? Was that this week? All right. Yep. Thanks again, Sean. Do you know when or if they will be dredging out Oak Creek anytime soon? I know that they came up with a plan. I don't remember what it is, but I know that they are planning on dredging it somewhat soon. I haven't really followed up with it lately, though, but I know that they were planning on it, so I just don't know the time point. All right. Let's see. Did the North Point contract fail? It didn't fail. It just hasn't been signed yet, as far as I know. So hopefully they get that done really quick. It's just on the state to take care of their end of it. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully they get that resolved in the next couple days. What size hooks are in these tubes? You know, I don't know. It's like I said, the bloops have 16th ounce jig heads. I don't know exactly what size hook that is. Maybe a 6 in there. They don't really specify on the package. All right. Oh yeah. All right. Someone said Randy insisted the drawing be for likers only. Did anybody else hear that? Let me see if that's even a thing on here. I don't know if it is. Anyways, please give the video a like. It goes a long way to help the channel, help spread it around and all that. So I appreciate it. Again, like if you don't have the like button on there, we learned a couple weeks ago, you can just double tap the video and that will give it a like. So, and I think, let's see what else is going on here. Like I said, tons of shipments coming in this next week. This week I got in the bobbers. I got in just some random stuff, planer board releases like OR16s, OR18s, all that kind of stuff. I have some custom Mr. Chromes on the way. I don't think they'll be here this week, maybe the week or two after that. Bunch of custom Mr. Chromes, plus all of his other new stuff on order. And hopefully Stinger soon and stuff like that. So there's a lot coming. All right. How do you know when to set lines when out trolling on the big pond, or how to find the kings? What do you do to find them? Thanks. It does, like out here, kind of depends on the time of the year a little bit. If it's early in the spring and we're catching cohos in shallow, I might slide out a little deeper than the cohos. Sometimes we catch the kings right in them. Last year, they were here with the cohos pretty early. Not every year is like that. Once summer sets up, we start getting a thermocline. A lot of times, you get into the edge of the hill is kind of the key starting point. So it does depend on water temperatures a little bit. But yeah, it's always a little bit of a mystery. But typically, like the last few years, we've had so many, it hasn't mattered too much. Like if you don't start on top of them, you'll find them at some point. There's just been so many fish around. So hopefully this year's like that as well. Yes, the OR38s are in stock. So on a 200 copper, what size reel do you recommend? I recommend a 55. You can squeeze it onto a 45. I've done it, but I prefer the 55. It's going to crank it in better. It gives you plenty of room. And if you want to make it into something longer down the road, you have that option. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Just go with the 55, whether it's a convector, cold water, whatever. The bigger reel is always the way to go. I prefer to err on the bigger side with all my reels rather than being undersized. When I first started trolling, I liked smaller stuff, especially with the kayak. And then as I spent more and more time out in the boats, I realized bigger is better with these reels for sure. All right. Any guess as to how big the average fish will be this year? They seemed a little smaller last year. There's really no way to tell. I know every year it's different. And every year in the fall, when we start catching like the younger kings, I hear, oh, look how big these 3-year-olds are. Our 4-year-olds are going to be really big next year. And it doesn't ever seem to correlate. So we'll see. Only time will tell. There's really no way to know right now. What do I think of Chamberlain releases? I don't use them, but I know they're a good release. They're very popular. I like using Scotty releases myself, but you can't go wrong with Chamberlain's either. So, all right. 200 copper. What will be the same with a lead core? I'd say like 10 colors and be right in that same ballpark area. Yeah, 10 colors should be about it. Any reports on Port Washington from shore? You know, I haven't heard anything the last couple of days, but I'm sure some people in here have been out there. Yeah, 225. You know, to get a 250 on there, you just got to have a lot less backing. That's why I don't like it. I typically like at least 200 yards of backing on mine. Most of the ones, pretty much all the ones that we have pre-spooled, that we spool for people, with the exception of super long coppers, end up with about 250 yards of backing. And I also like using 65-pound braid for the backing on those. That does take up a little more room than if you're using like 50. So, yeah, I agree that 225 is pretty much the max. All right. All right, so our giveaway word is still Okuma because I didn't change it in the bot. So we'll get going with that. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to keep asking as we go. Fishing reports this week, I was mentioning earlier, I had some pretty good reports from the rivers, the root, especially with beads. So like the bloop bead bite was going pretty good. Of course, the butter and a lot of yellow beads and like the 10 millimeter size were good. Some fish on tubes and some fish on spawn sacks as well. Didn't get too many reports from down in the harbor. I did hear a few fish caught at the mouth of Racine. In Kenosha, you've still got ice back by the boat launch, but over by the main part of the harbor, it's mainly open with some floating ice, just kind of drifting around over there. And then day to day was a little different. Some days were really good for browns, some days weren't. But like that next rain is going to be big. They're still getting some pike in North Point here, and I've heard of some pretty nice perch caught down there as well. So I don't know how much longer they're going to let everybody fish down there, but for the time being, guys are still getting on the ice. And like I said, I didn't get too many reports from Waukegan lately. All right. Try to catch up to the comments. All right. Fish X Adventures says, I'm going to be now trolling this year. I'm having a tough time choosing colors for spoons and flies. I don't have a big budget. What is a few colors and flies that work the best? You know what? It kind of depends on where you're fishing a little bit, whether you're going to be in like our area with where there's a lot of cohos and that, or just fishing mainly for kings. But like in the spring for cohos, that's 7-Up fly, next generation, blue liz, green liz, blue, green, and gold. If you have those, you're in really good shape, whether they're peanuts or the 2-inchers, and just some red Dodgers with those. When it comes to flies, like later and you get into the 4-inchers, if you have a bullfrog and a super frog and a green crinkle and a white fly, you're probably catching fish all summer. Like the Howie, bullfrog, super frog, those. And then as far as spoon colors go, get yourself a Wonder Bread, a green dolphin, blue dolphin, a HUD special, flounder pounder. So, those would be, there's a few others, of course, but those are really consistent spoons to catch a lot of fish throughout the year. Maybe you have like one orange spoon. That catch fish throughout the year. It's a really good starting point for you. Spoons are one of those things that are just never ending. Like a lot of the people in here know, is just no matter what, there's going to be some hot spoon you don't have, and then you got to have it. So you start off with like a dozen spoons and you end up with like 300 in a couple of years pretty easily. At least some people do. All right. Yeah, does anybody know if there's still ice at the Burnham launch? So, have I ever tried trolling paddle tails for salmon? I have. Very limited success with that. Spoons and flies typically catch a lot more fish. We've tried trolling a lot of things over the years and just always end up back to spoons and flies. Any thoughts on when cohos will get hot? We just need some warmer, nicer weather. It's a little early still, and it's going to depend on where on the lake you are, of course. But we just need some warmer, nicer weather, and that'll help things a lot. It always seems like you get like a good warm week, and then all of a sudden coho fishing starts. What would be the top 5 spring coho lures we should have ready to go? Are you talking shore fishing or are you talking trolling? One that would do both are these Brad's Thin Fish right there. But outside of that, they're kind of different. So I guess I'll just say both. Like for trolling, a red Dodger, whether it's double O or stubby, and a small fly, like a peanut fly here. Brad's Thin Fish. Pretty much that's all you need. Like you don't even need 5. Just a couple different color flies. Like this is that next generation and a peanut that I was talking about. Let's see if I can get it to focus in on that. There we go. That one, anything green or blue, green, and gold, all that. A yellow fire dot, so just a yellow Dodger with red dots on it or orange dots on it. And then some crankbaits like these Thin Fish. That's all you need for trolling for them. Stubby Dodgers, double O Dodgers. You can get it like baby spin doctors in on that too if you want. As far as shore fishing goes, you're going to see a lot of live bait, especially with the power liners using like fathead minnows, night crawlers, sometimes spawn sacks, then the little jigs from shore, and then just any casting spoons or spinners, really. Like you can cast these things, but you can cast like Castmasters, Cleos, all that. They'll all catch spring cohos. Spring cohos, like you shouldn't overthink. They're not the pickiest fish most of the time. So chances are you have something with you that's going to work. Maybe you have to mix things up a little bit, but you'll get it to work. All right. Do I carry any rod holders that fit the track set rail? Right now, I don't carry any rod holders. That might change, but we'll see. Right now, I don't have any kind of rod holder, downer, or stuff like that in here. What time of day and weather is best during the spring? I like nice weather in the spring, whereas I like crappy weather in the fall. Fish tend to like when things were warming up a bit. So sometimes, instead of being like pre-dawn and right at dawn when the fish are biting, sometimes it takes another hour for them to wake up a little bit. So that's just kind of my take on it. But they'll bite throughout the day in the spring, that's for sure. All right. I'm going salmon and lake trout fishing with very limited fishing in Northwest Michigan. I don't have downriggers. What's the best setup I should look into? I would get Dipsies. First rods that any troller should get would be Dipsies. Whether it's braid or wire, that might depend on your situation. They'll both work for you, though. But, yeah, definitely Dipsies. If you want to ask more questions or talk about it, feel free to call the shop. I'll be here the rest of the day. But, yeah, Dipsies are going to be your most important rods, whether you're spring fishing or summer fishing. They're the most effective. They catch a lot of fish, and they're very versatile, where some of the other rigs just lack the versatility. Whether you get into coppers and stuff, they catch a lot of fish, but you're kind of set with what they are. Whereas those Dipsies, you can fish at 10 feet down, you can fish at 100 feet down, and anywhere in between. I would definitely make your first two rods Dipsies. I hear power lines mentioned often. What are they? So power lines are pretty interesting. It's basically a trot line that's shot with a cannon, like a fire extinguisher cannon, and it shoots out a weight with a really long rubber band attached to it. And then at the end of that rubber band, we'll have the trot line, and you start letting that out. As the rubber band contracts, it pulls the trot line with all the hooks and bait out into the water. So you can fish like, 30 or 50 baits, whatever it is, really far out. And then they'll have a little bell on there. And it can be really effective. It gets a lot of bait in the water. It's kind of a tradition for Chicago. You don't really see it done anywhere else, but that's a Chicago tradition. It's power lining in the spring. All right. Is there a website to check weather and waves on Lake Michigan? I'm running a smaller boat and like to be able to decide whether it's a good or bad day to fish the lake. They're usually wrong like half the time, but I use Fish Weather on my phone, an app on my phone. That one's pretty good. I don't look at wave reports too much, but more so the wind, and I kind of use my own judgment from there. But yeah, Fish Weather has been pretty good to me. Same as Sail Flow. There was another one I forgot what it is. It was recommended to me a bunch last year, and then it didn't really work out for me too much. But Fish Weather is pretty good, so check that one out. Did the yellow and orange stubbies come in yet? No, I think they're still 2 weeks away. I forgot how long ago I talked to them. He told me 3 weeks. So I'm just going to say they're 2 weeks away to be on the safe side there. But yeah, we'll be posting that right away when they're here. I think just that one color, I've got like 200 coming. So the KO with orange stripe was good last year. Yeah, KOs are always good. All right. Yes, for power line info, just go ahead and YouTube power lines. It's pretty interesting. Not everybody loves it, but it's a pretty interesting thing that they do. All right, let me get. During the season, what is the best site to watch for fishing reports around Kenosha? There is like a couple Facebook groups for Kenosha, and then there's another one for here. And then, of course, we do the live fishing reports here every Saturday. I'll just keep an eye on that. But yeah, there's no like websites that are really used that much. It's all Facebook nowadays or YouTube, like I'm doing right now. All right. How much trouble do you have with Dodgers running over 2.5 on the GPS? Not much. In fact, we fish them over 3 quite often in the spring. Um, they might be spinning around, but the fish seem to like it more sometimes. So we just whip them around. Uh, don't overthink it. I know everybody's like, oh, you got to go slow so they get this nice action. We just get the throttle going, cover some water. Those stubbies are just whipping around, and they're still catching fish. So don't be afraid to go faster than what's recommended on those. Can you recommend a budget-friendly trolling rod? I want to troll through the Grand Haven and Holland areas within a mile from shore. I have some medium-heavy ugly sticks. Would that work at all? Yeah, that works fine. Ugly sticks are fine. I kind of like the mediums more than medium heavies, but use what you have. Another real good budget rod are the Shimano TDRs. You know, they're all under $40. You can't go wrong with those either. All right. All right, let's start wrapping it up here. Let's see how many do we have? What we got 97 entries. A little less than normal. All right. A few more getting in there. We'll give it another minute, but we'll get a few more people a chance to say Okuma so they can win. Again, thanks to Sean Peterson here. We've got these 3 crankbaits, 2 brads, 2 of the best brads right there, and then this ice strong killer fish. Thanks again, Sean. All right. Give it another minute. Again, last chance to get some questions in before I get back to work here. All right. What are we up to now? 120. That shot up pretty quick. All right, let's declare the winner. S. Sturmer won. Congratulations. You still out there? All right. Thanks for watching, Reed. All right. S. Sturmer, are you still there? All right. Well, if you're still there, give me a call at the shop so we can arrange how you get these things. And if we don't hear from you, then we'll give them away again next week. But congratulations. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Hope you at least learned something. I hope I have answered everybody's questions all right. And we'll see you again next Saturday. And again, if you need any of the stuff, I'll be here all day today. Jack will be in here tomorrow. And this coming week, that will be there's a lot of stuff coming in this week. So do I have any of the 2-piece ugly sticks in the shop? I think I do, but I'd have to check. All right. But yeah, have a good one, everybody. Get out fishing if you can. And we'll see you again next week.